So, we're going to start studying pretty soon what we call epithelia. Epithelia are one of the classifications of tissue. So you have epithelia is a tissue, neuronal tissue is a tissue, muscle tissue is a tissue, and then you have connective tissue as another tissue. So we're going to study all of these tissues. Okay? So let's start with epithelia, because epithelia is the most difficult of the tissues to learn. Okay? And you better know this like the back of your hand. Okay? Don't grin at me. You're going to know this. Okay? So this is one of the classifications of tissue. So epithelia comes in simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, pseudostratified columnar. So pseudostratified, say pseudostratified columnar. Add columnar there. Stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal. Stratified squamous is stratified. Stratified squamous is there's a lot of it. Stratified cuboidal, it's rare. Stratified columnar, it's rare. And then there's transitional. Okay, so let's define some of this. So simple squamous is one flat cell stuck to another flat cell, stuck to another flat cell by cell adhesion molecules. It's simple. Simple means one layer. Squamous means it's flat. Simple squamous. So where are you going to find this stuff? And you better never forget this. Simple squamous epithelia lines the inside of all arteries and veins. And when it's lining the inside of arteries and veins, we don't call it simple squamous anymore. We call it endothelia. Endothelia is simple squamous epithelia that lines the insides of arteries and veins. And when these same endothelia cells are lining the inside of the chambers of your heart, we don't call them endothelia cells anymore. We call them endocardial cells. We changed their name because of their location. Okay? Simple squamous epithelia also line the surface of all of your organs except one. Okay, and you don't have that organ. Are you married?
Yeah.
Okay, where's your wife?
At work.
Those organs are at work. Okay? You're here. The organs I'm talking about are ovaries. Okay, so his ovaries are at work. So, simple squamous epithelia line the surface of all of your organs except your ovaries, which are at work, and those are simple cuboidal epithelia that line the ovaries. Okay? And we call this the viscera pleura. So normally, most often, the visceral pleura is simple squamous epithelia, except around the ovaries, which is simple cuboidal epithelia. Don't worry, I'll be saying all this again, okay? I'll be doing this again. Okay? Okay. So, simple squamous. Okay? And it already says, lining the vascular system, or the endothelium, lining body cavities. Yeah, simple squamous epithelium also lines the body cavities, and it's continuous with lining your organs. They're all flat cells. So your thoracic cavity, your chest cavity is lined with simple squamous epithelia. Your lungs surface is lined with simple squamous epithelia. And when it's lining your organ, lining the surface of your organs, we call it viscera pleura. Write that down, viscera pleura. When it's lining the thoracic cavity, we call it parietal pleura. Okay? So, simple cuboidal. When you think simple cuboidal, you think ducts. A duct. All ducts are simple cuboidal. Most of the ducts. Let me put it this way. 98.9% of all the ducts are simple cuboidal. Sometimes when the ducts get really big, then they become stratified cuboidal or stratified columnar, but those are rare. Okay? Rare. Okay. Simple cuboidal, ducts. Simple columnar, that lines the innermost portion of your digestive tract. So your digestive tract, from your stomach all the way to your anus, is simple columnar epithelia. And that's like, they call it simple columnar because these cells are columnar. They're like this with their nucleus at the bottom. Okay? That's what they look like. Lining the inside of your digestive tract. Okay? So you all like a bunch of big donuts, right? So from your mouth to your anus is the whole of the donut. Lined with epithelia. In your mouth, it's stratified squamous. Okay? In your mouth, it's stratified squamous. In your esophagus, it's stratified squamous. In your stomach, it's simple columnar. In your small intestine and large intestine, it's simple columnar, epithelia. Okay? How are we doing? See, this is why the epithelia is the hardest, is because it's different depending upon the organ you're in. And it has a slightly different function depending upon the organ you're in. We'll talk about function later. Okay? So stratified squamous, the lining of your mouth, the lining of your esophagus, and the lining of your vagina, and his vagina is at work. Right? So he has a vagina.
Only at work. Just kidding.
She doesn't remember. Well, we'll deal with that later. You and I are going to have a long talk in private. Okay. Okay. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. Stratified squamous. Vagina, esophagus, mouth. Keratinized stratified squamous. Your skin. So you have non-keratinized stratified squamous, mouth, esophagus, vagina. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelia, your skin. Okay? We'll be dealing with that later. Okay? So it says epidermis. Epidermis is your skin. But that's keratinized stratified squamous epithelia. And we've already said that stratified cuboidal and stratified columnar are rare, but they're only in big ducts, and we'll see some of those. Here is transitional epithelia. Transitional epithelia is only in the renal system. You find transitional epithelia in your ureter, urethra, and your bladder. They call it transitional epithelia because when it's not stretched, it looks like stratified cuboidal, but it's not. It's transitional. When you stretch it, it looks like stratified squamous, but it's not. It's transitional. So depending upon whether it's stretched or not stretched, it transitions between what looks like stratified cuboidal to stratified squamous, but it's not. It's transitional epithelia. So if your transitional epithelia looks like stratified squamous, that means you need to go pee, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you're stretching your urinary bladder. These epithelia line the inner surface of the bladder, urethra, and ureter. Okay, now those are the definitions. Now I'm going to repeat myself in an entire lecture of everything I just said. Okay? And I like to do that because this is hard to learn. Okay? And I'm going to repeat myself here, too. Here's some images. Okay? This is looking down on simple squamous epithelia, and you're never going to see another slide like this, so who cares? Okay. Here it is under higher power. So each one of these things in there is a cell, a flat cell. Okay. So where did I say simple squamous epithelia resides? It lines the surface of organs, except your ovaries, which is simple cuboidal. So simple squamous lines the surface of organs. And this is somebody's digestive system, and here's the surface right here on the outside. And you get a higher magnification, and then it looks like this, okay? So here's the nucleus of a simple squamous epithelia right there. Here's another nucleus right here of a simple squamous epithelia. Here's another nucleus, so here's another simple squamous epithelia on the surface of an organ. And these are two-dimensional images. So this is tissue that got cut really, really thin, so it can wave it, it's so thin you can wave it in the wind, and they spread this on a glass slide, and then they stain it with a dye, and then they put a mounting medium on it, and then a cover slip and let it dry, and then you get this. Okay, and these are high magnifications, all three of them. One's higher than the other. The lumen of this is the intestinal tract. The lumen is way out here, okay, way out there. The lumen is starting here, okay. But this is the edge of the surface of the digestive tract, lined with simple squamous epithelia. So therefore, we call it viscera pleura. Viscera means organs. Pleura means the surface of that organ, which is simple squamous epithelia. Told you I was going to repeat myself, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, one of the problems with this slide, and anytime you're learning microanatomy, and that's what we're doing, they show you this slide, which is a section of the kidneys. Okay. So in this one slide, you have this tuft of capillaries right here. This tuft of capillaries. That's called the glomerulus. All this stuff in here. It's called the glomerulus. Okay. And what this is supposed to be saying is that capillaries are one endothelial cell thick. What's an endothelial cell? Endothelial cells line arteries and veins. And capillaries are one endothelial cell thick. So this is a tuft of capillaries. See these little red dots in there? Those are red blood cells. This circle right here is a capillary. Okay? So all these dark colored purple circles right there are the nuclei of cells. So if you look real hard here, you'll see a nuclei of a cell bulging into the lumen of that capillary. Do you see it? Do you see it? It's that little nuclei, that little balls right there? That's a nuclei of an endothelial cell, which is a simple squamous epithelia. So those holes in there are capillaries. Now this hole, this one right here, is a cross-sectional cut. So if I cut my arm like this and showed you just that part, that would be cross-sectional. Here is a capillary right here, okay, cut longitudinally instead of cross-sectionally. That's why it is elongated, okay? So you got to transform these two-dimensional images into three-dimensional images in your brain. Okay, and you have to picture things. See all these little red bumps in there? Those are the red blood cells, dried out old red blood cells generated during the histological process. Look, here's a couple more capillaries right there. See the red blood cells? See the nuclei? Two nuclei of endothelia, another nuclei of an endothelial cell. There they are. Okay? Now, the rest of these cells out here, this one in particular, is a duct. Okay? Here is another duct. Notice that the morphology of these two ducts are different. Who cares for now? We'll describe why they're different when we get to renal physiology next semester. But those are ducts. Again, that's a cross-sectional cut of a duct. So if I had a water hose, right? And I cut a thin slice out of the water hose, I would have what? A little circle. Circles. And the cells forming those circles are simple cuboidal epithelia in both these sections right here. Okay, make sense? Okay, so they show you a section of kidneys and say, these are simple cuboidal and these are simple squamous, and they don't really tell you what's up there. Okay, I'm trying to. I'm limited because we're not in renal physiology yet. So when we get there, we're going to look at these images again. Okay? Here is an artery. You can tell this is an artery because this is thick, smooth muscle. And we'll be dealing with that tissue later. And notice that it has these bumps in it. These are nuclei of the endothelia cell that line the inside of this artery that's cut on cross-section. Can you see these now? Can you see them? Okay? You recognize them for what they are. Now, if you notice, some of these are really abnormal shapes, either oval, round, or whatever you want to call it. And that's because they're cut, say for instance, when the duct is bending through. Okay? This one right here would be a longitudinal section at a bend of the tube. Cool, huh? And this is just a thin slice of tissue. Okay, here it is under higher power. Same thing on the previous image. Okay, now we're pointing out some stuff. This is real high magnification right here of an endothelia cell in a capillary in what we call the glomerulus. I don't care if you remember glomerulus yet. Okay? And this glomerulus right here is sitting in a capsule. And the capsule is made of simple squamous epithelia. Okay? So these are your lungs. Your lungs are made of sacs called alveoli. And alveoli are one simple squamous epithelia thick. Okay? The simple squamous epithelia make up the alveoli. And the alveoli are surrounded by capillaries. So it looks like this. Okay? So each one of these bumps right here, these dark bumps, are a nuclei of a simple squamous epithelia. This looks like healthy lungs. This over here is a vein with red blood cells in it. And a vein is a vessel, so vessels are lined with endothelia cells, which are simple squamous epithelia. I'm tired. I have to do this again, okay? At 6 o'clock. Okay, so here's another form of tissue. This is adipose. Here are some more veins or arteries with nuclei in it. It's a higher power. And here's the red blood cells. So those are endothelial cells, which are simple squamous. Here is stratified squamous. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're in the esophagus or whether you're in the vagina. Okay? And then it come out, right? Okay? But you get my point. Whether or not you're in the esophagus or you're in the vagina, the epithelia looks the same. It's stratified squamous epithelia. More specifically, it's non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelia. Okay, here it is under higher power. So it looks the same whether you're in the vagina or you're in the esophagus. Okay. Okay, here is keratinized stratified squamous epithelia. This is actually the indentation of a fingerprint on your hand. So here it is, it's stratified squamous, and then the cells die and become keratinized. So we call it keratinized stratified squamous epithelia. Okay? See these little circles right here? Those are ducts corkscrewing through the tissue. So if I did a section of a corkscrew, you would see circles on both sides. What do you see? Circles on both sides. That's a duct. Okay? You know when you put your hands on the black lab benches, you pull your hand away and it's wet. Right? These ducts. These are sweat ducts from your hands. Okay? So higher power, the same thing. What can I say? And this is keratinized stratified squamous epithelia on this part of your anatomy, your arm where hair doesn't grow. Now, this is keratinized stratified squamous epithelia on the palms of your hands or the bottom of your feet, where you have the prints. This is where there's no prints, and the keratin, that would be these layers right here, the ones that are sloughing off, it's thinner, but it's still keratinized stratified squamous epithelia, whether you're here, hands, or here. Okay? Okay, more of the same thing, higher power. And see the melanin right here? This person has a tan. The dark areas right there. This is like comparing both epithelia on the palm of your hand and the forearm of your arm, or in your forearm. Now, these are simple cuboidal epithelia, okay? This is your thyroid. Your thyroid, so if I had a tennis ball, and I cut the tennis ball in a thin slice, what would I have?
The dots?
You'd have a circle. Yeah, a circle. Okay. So that's what you see here. You have a bunch of circles. Right? So the ball's shaped like this. If I cut it here, or cut it here, the same circle will give you different diameters, wouldn't it? When you look at it on the cross-section. Different diameters. Each one of these is a ball. Okay? Made up of simple cuboidal epithelia. That's another place where you'll find simple cuboidal epithelia in your thyroid. Here's some ducts. These are salivary glands. Here's ducts. Because when you salivate, you put the saliva in a duct and then you excrete it, you make spit, right? So these are the ducts of salivary glands. So this and this are the same duct. It just did like a curve, okay? All of these right here are the same duct because they're like corkscrewing through the tissue.
So they're all connected?
They're all connected. All these in the general area are all connected.
Oh.
Yeah, they're ducts made of simple cuboidal epithelia. We'll care less about the rest. I'm getting hungry. So here's some more simple cuboidal epithelia. Here's an artery. So simple squamous in there. More of the same. Okay. This is sebaceous. These are associated with hair follicles. These are simple cuboidal. Here's a hair follicle. Okay. Okay. Here is an ovary, and the ovary has simple cuboidal epithelia as its viscera pleura. Okay, you getting this stuff? This is my second time around already, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when an instructor is repeating himself over and over again, the instructor has stopped instructing and started teaching. Okay? When they repeat themselves over and over again. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. But who's the real teacher in here? It's not me, is it? It's you. Because most of the time you teach yourself. I don't teach you, I just instruct you. Okay, higher power, simple cuboidal epithelia is the visceral fluid on ovaries. And yes, these are eggs.
Oh, in the ovary.
These are eggs. Okay, we'll talk about the eggs when we get to reproduction later. Here's different ovaries, same thing. Now, some of these slides will show you the same organ and the organ is different color. That's because the technician that made the slide used different stain. Different stain, different colors. So you can't learn this stuff by the color. Okay, you have to pretend like the color is there. You just look, is not there. Pretend the color is not there. You just learn things by morphology. What time is it?
20.